I'm Rick Conlow. I'm glad you're here, and I hope you're glad to be here too. We're going to be talking about how to conduct an outstanding performance review. And this is part of our Success as a Leader video training series, Transforming Managers into Leaders. And performance reviews are controversial today. Here are some comments about performance reviews, little jokes, if you will. First one, let's start, manager talking to an employee. Let's start by listing your 2 strengths and your 320 weaknesses. Or how about the next one? Reviewed your key progress areas and assessed them compared to company strategic goals. And we decided you need a kick in the backside. How would you like that one? Or the last one, you don't qualify for a raise, but we are happy to give you hundreds of attaboys that are meaningless. Sometimes it seems like that, wouldn't you agree? See, there's a problem with performance reviews today. Employees don't like them very much. And if we do it right, the performance review process should be anticlimactic. In other words, you know exactly where the employee is, and they know, and when you come to the review. So what I'm going to be talking about is radical to change this process. So hear me on this. Stick with it. Regardless of what kind of review process or software that you have in your company, you can make this work. Now, I just say one little thing, little caveat. If your process says that it has a 5.0 potential rating and employees can only have 3.0, no higher, you're probably going to have a few disgruntled employees. Wouldn't you agree? Overall, though, only 10% of employees feel that their managers do a good job of performance management, let alone the review. And 1/3 of employees like really what their company does in the review process. So most of them are dissatisfied with what that too. And 80% of employees are dissatisfied with their own personal review. So I think you'd agree with me there's some issues there. And some say, hey, for a 2-3% increase, why bother with the whole process? And managers, a lot don't like it either because the software programs, the online tools that are available tend to be too cumbersome. So I don't know about you, but we can do a better job, wouldn't you agree? And that's what we're going to be talking about here. So it all begins with communicating better with your employees. And it's also a mindset that every employee has the potential to be a winner. If we treat them like champions, we value their contributions, we believe in their success, and help them win, this whole thing can go much better. So here are 3 powerful considerations. First, the employee is the priority. We got to start there. What does that mean? That means we got to invest the time, the energy, the process, and the engagement. Leadership engagement leads to employee engagement. So if we do that, which will separate us from all other managers, we have a great beginning. And then we've got to meet one-on-one with every employee monthly. Now, I had one manager had 40 direct reports. Can you do that? That's too much. So we broke them up into teams. Then we worked it out. So she only had 6 or 7 to do. See what I'm getting at? So we meet with them monthly. And what do we do in that monthly meeting? We talk to them about their performance. What are their goals? What are their priorities? What are their strengths? What are their areas for improvement? What's their action plan? And then we do this informally. It's not a rating form. And we do take notes so that the employee knows what we discussed. You know what they discussed, so we can compare notes from one month to the next. And we dig into it. So it's self-development. It's talking about problems as needed. It's dealing with poor performance. It's praising and rewarding and recognizing good performance. It's communication that's a dialogue, not a monologue. It's honest. It's open. It's about strengths and leveraging those. It's about minimizing the weaknesses. It's about possibilities for doing even better. It's cooperative problem solving, month in, month out. So the employee knows where he or she stands all the time. There's no discussion. They know what they're doing well. They know what they need to do better. They know how they're doing on their performance. So this whole thing is a process, not an event. And as a manager, you follow this up with those monthly coaching. Now, you don't leave it just there. You're also doing, if you've looked at our other videos, informal coaching. So those moments of time throughout the day, throughout the week where you engage the employee digitally or in person, short periods of time, you're reinforcing, talking about what the performance is, what the results are, what the goals are. You see how this works? Now, it takes some sweat. It takes some effort. It takes time on your management side. Now, over time, though, the employee becomes more self-directed. Now, this leads us up to your 6-month or yearly performance review. Now, if we've had those discussions formally, one-on-one, and in a lot of informal communication, you can see where they already know what's going on. You already know how this is going to come out. So does the employee. So what do? You set a date to meet with the employee. You give them the review form or the link to it on your online system. You let him or her fill it out ahead of time. You fill it out ahead of time. Then you meet in your schedule and discuss it. Let the employee go first. Let them tell you how they're doing on the key areas. And then you discuss how you see them in areas. There's going to be similarities and differences. If there are similarities, you accentuate them. If there's differences, you talk through them. And then you come to a consensus on the overall rating. Now, quick thing. If your review form is suspect, and even if it isn't, even if it's a good one, in both cases, make sure the goals that you write down and the action steps that I talked about earlier, you attach that to that, or have that at least a part of the discussion. Because that adds the depth of what's gone on all year, not just the last few days or weeks or months. So as I said, you end this with coming to a consensus with his general agreement on the overall evaluation. Now keep in mind, as I said before, is if you follow the process, you already know what that is. So the review form is kind of an academic process to put a rating to it, and then that, of course, leads into whatever salary review process that you have. You see how this works? There's power in it if you stick with it. Sylvester Stallone said this about his career: "I am not the richest, smartest, or most talented person in the world, but I succeed because I keep on going and going and going." And that's what this process requires, is you keep on going and going by engaging your team with the process that I talked to you about. I've done it for years. I've taught others to do it. Some other organizations are starting to do things like that and using their online software systems to help with that. But it still takes that engagement, human activity together to get it done. And your payoff: trust, respect, credibility. People perform better. I've seen it happen time and time again. It's happened as I've engaged clients. Fewer employee problems because you're heading them off early and discussing them. Less stress, more time to focus on improving your department. So you invest the time and it gives you more time later. Others will notice how well you're doing and your better results. That's what happens. I don't know about you, but you're going to have less tension and anxiety to go along with it. It builds trust, which we need as a leader to really succeed. And you will lead and succeed as you become a learner. So I appreciate you getting involved in this process. I have this vision that soars on golden wings. I visualize your achievements and your legacy that sings. I do not know all about your awesome goals or your persistent efforts to raise the bar. I only know you can be the best, a superstar. Thanks for coming.